Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Jace here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 4 of Deku the Shield Hero. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. What is that? Izuku's heart pounded. Shield raised as the false city around the duo began to shake. As Raftalia readied her sword, a massive blast of wind and smoke raced towards the pair. For a moment, their vision was completely obscured, their other senses on high alert for any danger that might be heading their way. Both could hear various crashing noises and shouts before the smoke cleared, revealing a sight that would forever be burned into their memories. The other students were taking the exam, running towards them, their expressions full of fear and panic as they fled. And behind them, rising from the streets, was the 0-pointer. That's worth 0 points? Raftalia gasped at the still rising 0-point robot in disbelief. Oh man! Come on, Raftalia! Let's airstrike Shield! Izuku's eyes widened in panic, shouting at his shield arm thrust out towards one of the examinees, who was laying on the ground as he had been shoved to the ground in the mass rush to get away from the 0-pointer. And just in time, as large chunks of building collided with the barrier and shattered, leaving much smaller pieces to land on the student when the barrier faded. That was close. The duo of shield and sword looked at each other, their gazes holding a silent conversation as more people passed them by without so much as a second glance. Then, as one, they nodded at each other before moving, not away from the rest of the crowd, but towards the behemoth of a robot. Running in the direction the others had come from, Izuku and Raftalia saw that things seemed to be in a state of chaos. Those who were still able to run seemed to have a bad cause of tunnel vision, ignoring the dangers falling down from the buildings, as well as the test robots still in the streets. As for the rest, they were either on the ground clutching at a bloody arm or leg, or else buried under something too heavy for them to lift off all by themselves. Airstrike Shield! Another barrier appeared next to a group that was running away, creating a wall between them and two 2-point robots that charged at them. Leaping in action, Raftalia charged at the foes, ready to slice them into several pieces. At the same time, Izuku began to inspect those that had fallen before moving them to a dumpster that had been turned on its side. The metal looked sturdy enough so that if anything else fell on it, it would protect the students, as well as offering them a hiding place as the minutes ticked by. After helping them, both he and Raftalia went to free the remaining students who had been trapped. Those students, once freed, ran off so much without a word of thanks. Not either of the two minded as they continued onwards towards the 0-pointer. Seconds ticked by as the two ran as fast as they could. Thankfully, they did not find any more students lagging behind, only a small handful that had been injured or trapped, which then instantly helped. Then, finally, Izuku and Raftalia came upon the 0-pointer, where they saw it in all of its terrifying glory. Both of them trembled, their weapons shaking as they gazed up at the mass of metal, that monstrosity before their eyes. Izuku could face down people like Kachan and that blue-haired teen easily, for he had known and seen far scarier things in his life. But now, as he stood there, he felt that fear again, as the looming 0-pointer took on the form of a villain who had tried to capture them long ago. Izuku, we should run! Raftalia cut herself off, her ears twitching as if they had picked up something. The green-haired youth then watched as the girl next to him gazed at something in the path of the 0-pointer. He turned his attention to it as well, eyes widening at what he beheld. Rubble littered the streets, and in one of the massive piles was a girl with short brown hair. Squinting, he quickly corrected himself that it was just her foot that was caught in it. Neither of the two even bothered looking up back at the robot, their legs seeming to move on their own. As the two ran, their heroic's heart screamed at all the fears and doubts within their heads, chasing them away. Of course, the two cried out in the real world as they put all the energy they had left into this final sprint. Once at the pile of rubble, Raftalia went to start prying the debris, while Izuku stood between the two girls and the towering 0-pointer. Airstrike Shield! Second shield! In front of him appeared not one, but two of his green energy shields, each one as far as Izuku could place them before him. Izuku then held up his shield, his body tensed as he braced himself for what was to come. The zero-pointer's treads hit the first shield, stopping it for only a second as millions of sparks appeared around it, as the massive treads began grinding down up it. When the barrier did shatter, Izuku nearly felt himself being thrown backward yet still kept its ground. Breathing hard, Izuku watched as the zero-pointer quickly made its way towards his last remaining shield. Now it was so close that Izuku could feel the hot air blasting all around it, as well as the scent of oil. The same thing appeared again, his barrier lasting only a moment before pushing the freckled-faced teen backwards. With nothing left to protect them, and hoping that the few moments he brought them were enough, Izuku turned to Raphtalia. Thankfully, she had the other brown-haired girl in a standing position. "I got her, but her leg, I think it's sprained." Without saying a word, Izuku raced over to the two of them. Quickly, both of the stranger's arms were placed over the shoulders, and together, they began to run as fast as possible. But it wasn't fast enough as the shadow of their foe never left them. The running of its treads creeping closer with every breath they took. All it would need to do was speed up just a little bit more, and the three tired hero hopefuls would become nothing more than smears on the pavement. Then, "Time's up!" As President Mike's voice echoed through the testing ground, the giant robot came to a complete and sudden stop. At the same time, the trio fell forward with smiles on their faces. "We did it! We did it!" Izuku could only gulp and nod at Raphtalia's weak voice, a smile appearing on his lips as an old woman with a syringe-shaped cane began to slowly approach them. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered, and with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description down below. Later, Izuku and Raphtalia walked past the security gate of UA, along with hundreds of other examinees. The two walked tiredly, dressed in their respective school uniforms, before making their way around the corner. "Wow, UA really doesn't pull their punches in these exams. Guess that's why they're the #1 hero school in all of Japan." "I know. I just hope we did well enough to impress them. Do you have any idea how many villain points we achieved? I sort of forgot after the zero-pointer." Izuku's shoulders jumped. "I know I got over 10 points myself. You probably got away with way more than that." Then, Izuku lifted himself upright as his warm smile reappeared. "But still, I don't regret what we did back there. I mean, we helped a lot of people back there. All the people we saved. It might have not given us the points, but that's what a hero is supposed to do." "You're right." Raphtalia then pulled out her phone. "In case we don't get into UA, would you like to possibly exchange numbers? I'd rather not wait another 10 years to talk to you again." Izuku was flushed as he looked at the device in Raphtalia's hand. He had given his numbers to girls before, but only so they could contact them whenever they wanted to know about their commissions or to check on a homework assignment. This, along with the way Raphtalia was looking away from him, caused his heart to nearly leap out of his chest like a certain alien from a certain franchise. While what followed was awkward, the young Midoriya somehow managed to type his number into the contacts while she did the same thing with his own phone. The next week or so went by uneventfully for Izuku. Classes at school continued as normal, though a certain ashen blonde teen seemed more confident as of late. Thought, to be fair, it was hard for most people to tell, given that Bakugo was not one known for his lack of confidence. The entire class silently came to the collective conclusion that the explosive teen had done well in the exam. The only thing that was different was that Midoriya was now on his phone more, as he talked to Raphtalia. The two talked like two old friends who hadn't seen each other in years, catching up on everything the other had missed while also telling each other about their day-to-day life. Izuku was amazed when he had heard that Raphtalia had managed to place highly in a few mixed swordsman tournaments, though not entirely surprised given the skill he had seen. He also got to hear a few of the more exciting fishing stories that girl had over the years. The one thing, however, that both of them avoided talking about was speculation about how they did on the exam, as both of them were extremely nervous about it. Then, finally, the day came in when Inko found an envelope in the mail with the UA seal stamped on the back. Feeling nervous, Izuku took it to his room where he shut the door before proceeding toward his workbench. For a few minutes, he sat there staring at the object that held his future from within. Then finally, his hands went to rip it open, revealing that inside was a silver device which landed with a clunk on the table before coming to life. Izuku jumped out of his seat, finding the image of All Might being projected into his room.
I am here as a holographic recording.
The man's voice boomed within the room, his hands at his side in a heroic pose as he made this announcement. Izuku's mind went into overdrive as he looked up at the hologram in both wonder and confusion. This letter was clearly from UA, so why was All Might the one that chose to tell him if he passed or failed? Shouldn't that be the teacher or the principal? Was this some sort of favor he was doing for the school?
In case you were wondering why I, All Might, am here now on this recording is because, starting next semester, I shall be joining the staff at UA as a heroics instructor. Really? Yes, really. Now then, young Izuku Midoriya, let's get to your test results for the written portion. You placed extremely well, but I'm sure that's not what you're really interested in. No! You want to know how you did on the practical!
All Might smiled and faltered slightly, causing Izuku's heart to drop.
On the practical, you scored 14 villain points. I am sorry to say that alone will not be enough to allow you into the hero course.
I knew it. That one sentence rang through Izuku's mind as his head slumped downward while also falling onto his knees. In his pocket, he could phone the familiar ring telling him he had gotten a text message, but paid it no mind as he just stared at the floor. Really, he should have known that he wouldn't get in. His shield was useful to protect himself in a fight, but defeating villains was a completely different story. At least I get to keep the disc, right? A personalized message from All Might is not something too many people have.
Huh? What do you mean, hurry up?
Izuku's head lifted to see the symbol of peace looking at something or someone off camera, his expression looking confused.
How many more of these are left? That many?
Again, Izuku's heart sank yet got back onto his feet. With his head down, he prepared to walk over to the device to see if he could turn it off before the battery powering it ran out. But then...
Well, young Midoriya, before we continue, there is someone here who wishes to have a word with you.
Izuku paused, his hand outstretched and ready to turn off the device as he looked up. Then, from off to the side, appeared the pro hero Midnight. Her image smiled and waved. Well, well, looks like we meet again, little hero. It seems like only yesterday I was sitting on your hospital bed, listening to you ask me so many personal questions that plenty of naughty men have been asking me for years. Or how red your face turned when I explained what R-rated meant.
He seriously asked that? You seriously told him?
Izuku's hands flew to his face, covering it as quickly turned red with embarrassment, though he was thankful that Midnight didn't answer All Might, just waving him off slightly as her eyes seemed to focus on the young shield user. I am glad that despite how many years have passed, you're still the same person I met in that alleyway. Still standing tall, shield raised to protect others with everything you have. Only now your body is finally grown to match your heroic heart. At that, dozens of smaller frames appeared around the two heroes who were now smiling. With wide eyes, Izuku looked around to see that all of them were from the exam. Each one showed a time when he had used his shield to save someone else, even when he was trying to ward off the zero-pointer as displayed with pride. As Izuku's phone began to ring again, All Might stepped forward with his smile returning to his fullest.
Young Midoriya, it is not the quirk that defines the hero, but the actions you take. Those actions inspire others to follow in your footsteps. What you did throughout the entire exam was exemplify heroism's core concept. Even when you knew that it wouldn't benefit you, both you and your friend rushed out to save not only the young girl, but everyone you came across. How could any hero school worth its salt turn away someone who's willing to risk their life for the greater good? Which was why there were other factors in the practical exam. Rescue points, A panel of judges watched and scored students based on their heroic deeds, and you, young Midoriya, scored a total of 97 rescue points.
Izuku's eyes began to water slightly as both All Might and Midnight each took a step to the side, revealing a scoreboard with several names. There at the top was his name, followed by both his scores, before finishing off with the total, with 14 villain points plus the 97 rescue points, gave an impressive 111 points. But that wasn't the only thing the freckled boy noticed. Right below his name was Raftalia. She had done much better with the villain points, earning a score of 45, while her rescue points were at 55. That gave her an even 100 points total. Though he was happy for her, Izuku felt that she should have gotten first place, since she had done most of the hard work. Finally, Izuku looked at the last name he recognized under Raftalia's. It was Kachan's. He had passed without needing any rescue points, earning himself 77 points.
Welcome, young Midoriya, to your Hero Academia!
I look forward to seeing you in class. Feeling like his heart would explode from happiness if he continued to listen any longer, Izuku reached out to turn off his device. It all felt so surreal to him. He had passed. He was not just going to the top hero school in the country, but All Might would be one of his teachers? Was there any way things could get better? As his phone rang again, Izuku finally pulled it out to see that he had gotten several text messages from Raftalia. Simple short phrases like, I got in, you got in, All Might and Midnight are going to be our teachers appeared on the screen. Not only that, but Raftalia also sent him a picture of herself. It was just her jumping into the air in what he had assumed was her bedroom, tears running down her face as she smiled. Izuku felt his own tears fall down as well, happy for them both. After texting her back, Izuku went to his workbench and pulled out some of the unused metal before getting to work. As he began to work, Izuku thought more and more about what had happened. He knew that he was still at the start of his journey to becoming the type of hero he wanted to be. But that didn't mean he, along with his friends, couldn't celebrate. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that we, the Celestials, have many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.